I started using this system when I was making $60 a week, and then I was making $2,000 a week, and then I was actually making about $7,500 a week. And what I learned from the system is basically it works when you're making a small amount of money. It also works when you're making a lot of money. That's what a good system usually does. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how to organize your finances with 6 different bank accounts. Now, as always, guys, like this video and top out also subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified. And by the way, my name is Tommy Bryson. Now, you might be wondering, what's the need to actually have 6 different accounts? Why not just have all the money in one account? Well, you ever heard the word like NFT, non-fungible token, because every single token is unique? It's not the same with money, is it? Okay, all money is the same. Money is fungible. If you have a $20 bill and I tell you, hey, give me your 20, I'll give you my 20, you don't really care because your 20 and my 20 is the same exact thing. It is fungible. Your 20 does not have superpowers and my 20 does not have more earning potential. It's the same exact money. But when you look at it over a long period of time, some people grab that same $20 and in 10 years with their money, they're able to basically be like a millionaire. But other people with the same amount of money, the same income, in like 10 years, they're still broke and living paycheck to paycheck. My point is, the amount of money you make is not the big deal, but it's all about what you actually do with that money and how you organize that money, okay? Money is the same across the table, but the jobs you give your money can be completely different, and that's what makes a difference when it comes to building wealth. So when you have 6 different accounts, right, what happens is every single dollar has a job to do. Some money is going to be put aside to make you more money, some money is to keep you safe, and some money is going to be put aside for the future or whatever it is, okay guys? That's the idea. And when all your money is just in one place, well, it's just like there. You can't really differentiate it. It's just all in the same place, and that's not what you want. So putting it in different bank accounts is going to allow you to be able to track it more efficiently and know exactly what that money is there for, okay? Now, what exactly are going to be those 6 bank accounts for, okay? Here are the names of the accounts. You're going to have an account for emergency money, an account for investing money, an account for your expenses, an account for paying off debt, an account for having fun, and lastly, an account for charity. Now, Tommy, are all these accounts as important as the other one? The answer is this is not about equality. It is all about efficiency. So at a certain point in your life where you are, maybe you might not be that much worried about, for example, having fun. You might be more worried about paying off debt. Not investing, not emergencies, okay? So it all depends on where you actually are. So you can have, for example, those 6 different accounts, but if you don't have goals to go along with them, they won't really make a difference. It's like you have a business and you have 10 employees, they all have different jobs, but if you don't make sure they're all working towards one goal overall, well, you actually have no function there, all right? That's the idea. I've been working in companies where I'm there and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Like, why is my job necessary? And you just like don't understand it. So that's why it's so important. You have goals. So one of the number 1 goals is going to be at first paying off debt, then saving for emergencies, then investing and also saving out for a home. And then lastly, to use your money to maintain yourself. So at every single level, you're going to use different amounts for certain accounts. And sometimes for years, you might be ignoring certain accounts, okay? That's also normal. Now, here's how you actually organize these accounts and how you actually go about opening them, okay? Now, number 1, you're going to need to have 2 separate debit cards. Yin yang, black, white, dark, light. All right, that's the idea. You're gonna have to have 1 debit card for having fun and 1 debit card for your expenses. What are your expenses? Your expenses are going to be shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportation. Everything else usually is not like a real mandatory expense, okay? If you include something in there that's not real and mandatory, for example, you can have it in there, but be aware that money is going for something you actually want, not really something you need. That's not bad per se, but you need to be realistic with these feelings, okay? So overall, those are the main 4 expenses. So you have 1 debit card that when you have money in there for fun, usually about like 5-10% of your budget for that, okay? When you spend money from that debit card, you don't feel guilty because that money is there for that. When you spend money from your expenses for paying your rent, for buying groceries, for paying your gas, you don't worry about that because you know, hey, this is important. That's what this is for. So those are the first two main debit cards. Now, I don't care what bank you actually open them with, but I do care that there are two separate accounts. Don't open up, for example, an account where you have like your expenses on one side and your fund on one side, but it's all on the same debit card, same account. Don't do that, okay? You don't want to mix this stuff. It's like oil and water. Want to keep it separate, okay? So just make sure the accounts don't have any fees whatsoever. So I like online banks, okay? My favorite, I like the Discover It card. And I also like, for example, the SoFi Money card. Those are two great debit cards in my opinion, and they usually don't carry any fees. Yes, Discover actually has a debit card, and it actually gives you 1% cash back. So check it out. If it's open still, get it? I recommend it, okay? Now, those are the two accounts that you actually need first. Now, second, you're going to need two high yield savings accounts. Same rule, oil and water. Have them in two separate banks, and here's why. One is going to be for investing, and the other one is going to be for your emergency fund. Here's why you want to have it separate, okay? At a certain point, you're going to have an emergency, and you might think you need more money than you actually do, okay? So you might be tempted to take money from your investments. At a certain point, you might have an investment that requires you to actually use more money, and you might say, I'll just borrow some money from my emergency account and put it back in later. I've done that, all right? So you don't want to do that. That's why you want to keep things separate. And by the way, these accounts, they have different ideas. They have different reasons for existing. One, emergency, it's just there to cover your butt when you're in trouble. Second, investment, that money is there just for making you more money. And usually this account is going to be like around zero. Most of the time, unless you have, for example, like a long-term savings goal, like I want to save it for a house, I want to save it for a rental property. But most of the time, it's like an empty account because you can always have a separate account to actually invest your money in directly. And that's where we actually get to the other two accounts you're actually going to have. One can actually be a brokerage account. I use Vanguard. This is money you're going to put aside for investing. And that's why I say usually your investment account is going to be like at zero, because for the most part, you can just, when you get paid, send that money over directly to Vanguard and have it invested right away. You don't have to send that money over to your investment account. You only put money in the investment account when you actually have a long-term investment like buying a house or rental property and so on. Then you're gonna have a separate account also for long-term expenses. Like you have an expense that's going to be coming up and you wanna set money aside for that. Like, hey, I want to remodel my kitchen. I have to plan for a roof or an HVAC system for the house or whatever. Have that money being saved up for the most part. When you think about, for example, like your debt account or your charity account, those aren't really accounts. Those are more like just like expenses. So when you get paid, you pay your debts right away. You don't need an account for that. And when you actually get paid, you just basically donate to charity right away. You don't need to put it somewhere else for charity reasons, okay? That's why I say, like, yes, it's 6 total accounts overall, but for the most part, some of these accounts are going to be ignored for a very long time. So when you put all these things into action, what does it look like on a day-to-day basis? Well, you receive the money over at your expense account, which is very normal. And then from there, you can go ahead and distribute it across your other accounts, okay? So you say, hey, I'm gonna invest, for example, 10%. I'm gonna use this for that. But again, remember, you have goals. So for the most part, when you first get started, you have your expense account, you have your fund account, and then most of your money is just gonna go towards paying off debt. Once you're done with that, most of your money is going to go towards saving up for emergencies. And then once you're done with that, once you have 3-6 months in there, which is basically done, completed, you only put back money into the emergency account. If you have to use it, then you rebuild it, obviously. But for the most part, once you're done with those two things, then most of your money goes towards investing and saving up for a home. When you're done with that, paying off the home, then most of your money is going to go towards just investing, and most of it also towards having fun and charity and investing more money. That's the idea. And that's why you need 6 different accounts to keep you organized and to make sure you understand that all of your money is not just like there in one place put together. No, Every single dollar has a job to do, and you have to assign it and separate it so you don't mistake things whatsoever. It's why you need boundaries with your money, because if you don't have boundaries, you end up just having them all in one place and using it like crazy. Now, here's my warning to you if you make it all the way to the end of this video. My warning is, when you use this system, it will work. You will be investing money, paying off your debts, all this stuff, step by step, one by one, but you'll get to a point where you'll feel like you don't need to use it anymore. Don't believe the hype. Keep using it and stay organized, because when you stop using it, you get disorganized and you don't know what's going on, all right? Now, that's the idea. Keep things separate. That's my advice. Thanks for watching. Comment down below, bank, so I know you made it all the way to the end of the video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. Up here is another video. Up here is my face. Long-term team officially out.